Major plastic surgery and minor cosmetic procedures are relatively common in the entertainment industry, where stars are under extreme pressure to stay as beautiful and as youthful, and arguably as popular and as profitable, for as long as possible. As the late Joan Rivers once said, according to The Hollywood Reporter, "I've had so much plastic surgery, when I die they will donate my body to Tupperware." Along with nose jobs, Botox, fillers, liposuction, facelifts, and, knee lifts, getting breast implants is something that plenty of stars have done, with some pretty memorable blunders, too. When it comes to the best teen movies of the 80s, Pretty in Pink is consistently placed in the top tier, but if you're only a casual fan of the film, it may surprise you to learn that it's never before been made available on Blu-ray until this week. And be honest, it does surprise you, doesn't it? After all, there aren't a lot of movies that are quite as deeply ingrained in the fabric of 80s pop culture as the John Hughes-penned tale about the love triangle between Andie, Molly Ringwald, the girl from the less financially stable side of the tracks, Blaine, Andrew McCarthy, the cute, well-to-do boy, and Duckie, Jon Cryer, her longtime platonic pal pining for her. It's a classic romantic scenario, and it's one of the decade's defining films. In conjunction with Pretty in Pink's Blu-ray release finally coming to fruition, director Howard Deutch hopped on the phone with Decider to chat about the film's origins, the process of getting the casting just right, the soundtrack, and the original ending that proved so horrifying to audiences that they had to change it. However, some famous figures who have famous figures later get their breast implants removed, which is also becoming more popular. Dr. Marco Faria Correa, a plastic and cosmetic surgeon, told Vice, "There are plenty of reasons why someone would get rid of their implants." In addition, Deutsch also discussed his stint as a director of music videos, specifically, the one he did for Billy Idol, as well as one of his most famous post-Pretty in Pink films, The Great Outdoors. DECICDER, when it comes to Pretty in Pink, the best place to start is probably with the man who wrote it. How did you first find your way into John Hughes' orbit? Howard Deutch, we crossed paths because when I started, I had a company with my partners that made movie trailers, and we were working on the trailer for, if I remember correctly, 48 Hours, with Joel Silver. While some may simply no longer like the way they look or feel, others might be dealing with health issues. And Joel wanted us to do 16 Candles for John, and he introduced us. And at the same time, I was doing music videos. I was just beginning my directing on the music video side. So he wanted a video as well for 16 Candles, so we did that, and we got to know each other through doing that work and liked each other. Harvard Medical School's Health Publishing notes that there are some documented risks associated with breast implants, including potential surgical complications like infection and implant rupture. Even the FDA lists the risks and complications of breast implants. Indeed, some of those reasons are why these celebrities, including actresses, singers, and reality TV stars, have had their breast implants removed. Pamela Anderson's doctors found a leak in her implants. Pamela Anderson first became famous in part because of her body, including her large breasts, which were a result of implants. After being discovered on a jumbotron at a British Columbia's Lions football game, Pamela went from starring in a commercial campaign to the pages of Playboy to TV and film as an actress, producer, and director to a media mogul to entrepreneur superstar, according to her Playboy bio. She eventually went on to appear on their cover 14 times, more than any other woman in Playboy history. Anderson earned further fame for her controversial antics, and also for her role as C.J. Parker, one of the bathing suit-wearing lifeguards on Baywatch, which was even an ongoing reference on Friends. However, the actress eventually decided to get her implants removed. Neither of us went to film school, we were both from advertising originally, so it was kind of simpatico, and we became close. There were no medical problems. And that's when he offered me Pretty in Pink. And that was your first full-length effort as a director, right? Correct. What were your thoughts when you first read the script? Were you a fan of the teen movie genre? Not really. I mean, there were certain movies that I loved at the time with that sensibility, like The Paper Chase. I remembered I loved that movie. And there were others. There was no reason why I took them out. There was nothing like that, she told Entertainment Tonight in 1999 via the New York Post. But he had given me 2 scripts. One was called The New Kid, about his experiences when he moved to Arizona to go to high school, and the other was Pretty in Pink. And not knowing anything and not being very sophisticated about reading scripts, I reacted kind of honestly. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I said, Pretty in Pink made me cry, so I should probably do that one. Laughs. I know that casting took a fair while, insofar as picking out who was right for which role. Oh, very much so. I feel like I'm a petite person and just having these large breasts it just didn't feel right anymore. I just didn't feel like it looked very good. I was really kinda being self-conscious of it. But when she got them taken out, she revealed that doctors found a leak in one side. Yikes. Victoria Beckham's denial was a sign of insecurity. When it comes to Victoria Beckham's breasts, she's visibly gone up and down in cup sizes over the years, and ended up really regretting it, according to People. While that's certainly no one's business but her own, the former Spice Girl sat down with Allure in 2014 and while gazing at an old photo featuring a fair amount of cleavage, she felt the need to describe the fate of those breasts. I don't have them anymore. A small pause. I think I may have purchased them. And then what? She is asked. Originally Anthony Michael Hall was somebody we wanted to be Duckie, and he passed. The studio wanted all kinds of other actresses for Molly Ringwald's part, but I knew I had to convince everybody that Molly was the one to play it, and then I had to convince her. Did your breasts just leave? Or they got removed, one or the other, she says. You removed the implants? Yeah, she replies with satisfaction. During that same conversation, Beckham was asked if she had the implants taken out because they hurt, and while she denied that, she also didn't offer a reason for getting them removed. The former singer and current fashion designer was willing to open up a little more while penning a message to her younger self in 2017 for Vogue UK. Laughs. So the whole casting of that movie. For a first movie, that was a lot. I was lucky to stand up when I did. I would have thought that Molly would have pretty much been a lock, just by virtue of her connection with John at that point. Well, yeah, but the studio wanted to, and John agreed to, look for other people. Don't mess with your boobs. And Molly wasn't sure she wanted to do it. I knew, and I couldn't think of anybody who was even close to right for it other than her. So I went and grovelled and snivelled and wallowed, and she agreed. I've read that Charlie Sheen was considered for the role of Blaine. Yes, he was. But Molly wanted Andrew McCarthy, and I was lucky enough to listen to myself, which I usually don't, and myself said, listen to Molly, because she is that person. All those years I denied it. Stupid. She gets this movie. She is that character in real life, and she will make it as close to a docu-version of a girl who wants to her prom as I'm going to be able to get. So she said, that's the guy. She wanted him. A sign of insecurity, she admitted. She then told her past self and perhaps others who are experiencing what she was, i.e. she had a crush on him. Those who are insecure or thinking about getting breast implants, just celebrate what you've got. Ayesha Curry made a rash decision. Actress, celebrity cook, and wife of NBA player Stephen Curry, Ayesha Curry once playfully confessed to getting her boobs done after many months of breastfeeding, but she's come to see her cosmetic surgery in a different light, according to Working Mother. Curry told the outlet in May 2019, I didn't realize at the time, but after having Ryan, her second daughter, I was battling a bit of postpartum that lingered for a while. It came in the form of me being depressed about my body. And she convinced me that, because of how she felt, that was the guy we had to get. So I made a rash decision. While explaining that her intention was just to have them lifted, the host of Ayesha's Home Kitchen claims that she came out with these bigger boobs that she didn't want. In fact, she says she got the most botched boob job on the face of the planet and that they are worse now than they were before. The star also noted that she would never do anything like that again, however, is an advocate of if something makes you happy, who cares about the judgment? Obviously still feeling that vibe. In May 2020, Curry took to Instagram to post a photo of herself in a two-piece bathing suit. And when we got together, I could see both of them flirting immediately. So I said, I've gotta make this work. I can't even imagine another actor in the role of Andie's dad, but Harry Dean Stanton isn't exactly most people's first choice for a teen movie. Wow, comedian Ali Wong wrote in the comments along with 5 fire emojis.
Former Destiny's Child singer Kelly Rowland seemed to agree, writing, "Get it mama." Yolanda Hadid now has a body free of breast implants these days. Yolanda Hadid may be known as a reality TV star and the mother of models Gigi and Bella Hadid, but she was once a model herself and apparently felt like she needed plastic surgery over the years to fine-tune her appearance, including getting breast implants, which she's since removed. Finally, back to the original 1964. Living in a body free of breast implants, fillers, Botox, extensions, and all the bullsh*t I thought I needed in order to keep up with what society conditioned me to believe what a sexy woman should look like until the toxicity of it all almost killed me, she wrote in a lengthy Instagram post in January 2019. Your health is your wealth, so please make educated decisions, research the partial information you're given by our broken system before putting anything foreign in your body. The star also opened up about issues she'd had with her implants on Bravo's website, writing, "I ruptured an implant 10 years ago in a water skiing fall. The leakage from that incident had traveled, over the years, through my body and taken a life of its own. Apparently, 2.8 to 3 cm silicone granulomas were found in her lymph nodes, under her clavicle bone, and deep inside her chest cavity, creating a constant immune response and, she admitted, a constant feeling of something that was trying to kill me from the inside out." Sharon Osbourne discovered something wasn't right. Sharon Osbourne returned to her hosting gig on controversial ABC show The View in October 2011 and revealed that she had taken some time off of her on-screen work because she'd had her breast implants removed. How did he end up in the mix? Oh, John wanted Harry Dean from the beginning. One morning I woke up and one of my boobies was kind of much longer than the other. So I'm thinking, this isn't right, she said on The Talk via People. And Harry had no interest in it. Apparently, the star's surgeon discovered that one of her breast implants had leaked into the wall of her stomach. Afterward, the wife of rocker Ozzy Osbourne and the mother of Kelly and Jack Osbourne seemed to be pleased with the result, saying, "I don't feel like I have a water bed laying on my chest anymore." A year later, in November 2012, Osbourne opened up again on The Talk via People about the fact that beyond the removal of her breast implants, she'd since undergone a double mastectomy as well as reconstructive surgery. He was like, casually dismissive. "No. So we went to his house to convince him, and, somebody said to him, you have to hurry up and decide. And he was, like, I'll hurry up slow." Laughs. Anyway, John rewrote for him and reworked it for him and spent a lot of time so that Harry got invested. While the star wasn't diagnosed with cancer, she explained that she did have the breast cancer gene. And he ultimately said, "Yes. I'll hurry up slow" is such a perfect Harry Dean line. Yeah. By the way, I worked with Harry years later. And one of her breasts was in a really bad state because of the implant. Her advice for anyone musing about getting breast augmentation? Never have implants, by the way. Heidi Montag's implants were falling through the skin at the peak of her fame in 2010. Heidi Montag famously had 10 cosmetic surgeries done in one day, including a chin reduction, a brow lift, and Botox injections, as well as getting size F breast implants, which she told Us Weekly weighed about 3 pounds each. However, by 2013, she decided she didn't want them anymore. They were so heavy they were falling through the skin, she told People in 2016. It was, like, 30 years later, and he was very ill. It was just too heavy for my body and I was in pain and uncomfortable all the time. It was on that show Big Love. I thought, what do I need these big of breasts for? The former reality TV star also talked about the impact the procedures had, saying, I was in way over my head. I had no idea what I was getting into or that it was a lifelong commitment. But he said to me, "Hey, what happened to that scene they cut out that I was supposed to do, when I buy the dress?" He still remembered that we didn't shoot that scene. Is there any particular story surrounding how you came to cast Andrew Dice Clay? You know, I think I auditioned him. It was very challenging, both physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, on my husband, Spencer Pratt, and on our lives. Montag continued by admitting that the fallout from what both she and her husband were doing, including spending more money on things like the surgeries, was a huge turning point. He just came in, the casting director, I think, and he was good for the part, so we used him. Laughs. I think that's it. To say that I'm a big fan of the soundtrack is an understatement. What was the process of bringing that together? There was a lot of music that John had accumulated from the 80s British invasion that he loved, and he'd play it for me. New Order, Echo and the Bunnymen. A lot of groups that I'd never heard of, frankly. In such a negative way. "Sometimes I can't believe I did that to us and to me. It's been a lot to overcome," she added. "I'd never heard of New Order. However," she says, "I don't want to say I regret it 100% because I've tried to grow from it." Stevie Nicks' breast implants were not in good shape. Stevie Nicks has definitely faced scary health-related situations in the past due to her choices. For instance, she told Billboard that in the 80s, she was told that if she did any more cocaine, she'd have a brain hemorrhage. Nicks also dealt with physical issues that she believes were related to her breast implants. In 1994, the Grammy-winning Fleetwood Mac singer was experiencing growing lethargy, as People puts it, and although her condition was diagnosed as the effects of Epstein-Barr virus, the star as well as her mother thought that the issue might have to do with her silicone breast implants, which she'd gotten back in 1976. "But he played me Elegia, that track that we used in the movie, and I was, like, Jesus, this is gorgeous. And we put it up against a scene after I cut it. Like cocaine, the whole world was getting them back then, and everyone was told they were safe," Nicks explained. "But I'm living proof that they aren't safe." Frankly, Nicks had been told by a number of doctors that not only would it be painful to remove her implants, but it was unnecessary. And the process of him never forcing anything on me but just saying, "Hey, check this out," I would be, like, "How the hell did you find that?" Laughs. "Because I grew up in the music business, and I fancied myself pretty much ahead of the curve. But he was way ahead of everybody." And yet arguably the most famous musical moment in the film is Duckie lip-syncing and dancing to Otis Redding, "Try a Little Tenderness." I've talked to Jon Cryer about this before, and I want to say that the song was your pick. Am I remembering that right? You know, my memory is that it was a combination decision. However, when she insisted and had them taken out in the mid-90s, it turned out they were totally broken. With the implants out, People notes that Nicks' health was restored, which is why she's still thrilling fans with her musically witchy ways today. Melissa Gilbert can now finally exercise. Melissa Gilbert may be best known for her role on Little House on the Prairie, however, even starring on such a wholesome show didn't prevent her from experiencing pressure related to her body. In a December 2014 blog post aptly titled "A Tale of Two Titties," the actress opened up about getting implants, saying that at the tender age of 17, she got the message that it was better for her to have big breasts, even though she says that she really was happy with her breasts, noting that they were small cups but low maintenance. But after having her son, Gilbert's chest got bigger while breastfeeding and then disappeared afterward. "I definitely wanted that. But in the end, it was blessed by John. It surely didn't help that her husband at the time called her breasts socks full of marbles with knots at the top. After they split, she had her breasts done, not too big, just enough to fill up the socks." However, at the time of the post, the star filled her fans and readers in on the fact that she was having her breast implants removed the following week. The bottom line. There were other songs in contention, though. Jon Cryer was lobbying for, and was very good at doing, a Rolling Stones song. But originally it was just a little moment where he comes sliding into the store and there's a song playing. That's what was in the script. But we made much more out of it, because it's all I really knew at the time. I'd been doing all these music videos, and I thought, I'd better try something else here. So I asked choreographer Kenny Ortega, and he said, sure. So we made a little thing out of it. Or top line. We never expected it to become iconic. I remember John said that the amount of time it was going to take to get it right was a little intimidating, because it was going to take longer than you really had to work with. Yeah, we took like half a day to do it. It freaked everybody out. Laughs. But as you see, it was well worth it. As far as the ending of the film, did you foresee that the original version, where Andie ends up with Duckie, was going to be an issue, or were you surprised when test audiences reacted the way they did? We were shocked. We almost had a heart attack. And then we had to figure out how to reverse engineer it and make it work. Paramount was flipping out.
Is that A, but it took a long time to figure out. I am concerned for my health and too. I don't like the way they look or feel. Frankly, I'd like to be able to take a Zumba class without the fear that I'll end up with two black eyes. Jenna Jameson cried tears when she removed her implants. Jenna Jameson is a writer, television personality, and entrepreneur who found fame as an adult film star, which means that there was plenty of attention focused on her body during her on-screen career. However, by 2007, she'd retired from that part of her job and had her breast implants removed. The Star opened up to Us Weekly about why she had undergone the 3-hour surgery that took the 5'6" star from a D cup to a C up, saying, "When I had implants, I felt uncomfortable. John just came into the editing room and said, 'I got it. I know what to do now.' And he sat on the floor. He always liked to sit on the floor, and he told us, he said, 'We have to cut the part where Andrew comes with somebody to the prom. He has to come alone. I would be shy at the beach. And then by doing that, then John can sacrifice himself. He can make the ultimate sacrifice and say, go with that guy. And then he'll be taken care of.' I know it sounds funny, but I'd wear high-necked clothes, unless I was at an adult film convention. So I thought, why don't I be who I am and get my real ones back?" Afterward, she says she was ecstatic. "The first thing I did when I got home was open my bra. We'll protect his character by giving him that little duckette, laughs. And then he handed us the pages, and me and my editor, Richie Marks, who's a brilliant editor. It was, like, boom. We knew it was gonna work. Do you think Duckie would have eventually ended up with Annie Potts' character?" Cackles. "No, but it would have been a great relationship." I wanted to circle back to your music video work for a moment and ask you about the experience of working with Billy Idol on his Flesh for Fantasy video. Oh, my God. I don't remember, because we were all so high. Laughs. I was awake for 4 straight days. Writer's note, this is not an exaggeration. In Idol's memoir, Dancing with Myself, he writes of the video, "Our first day ended up going 36 hours. The second day went about 24 hours. It was crazy, the whole experience was interplanetary. I was grateful for the opportunity. I wasn't supposed to, but I did. He's brilliant. At the time my company had just finished working on a trailer that he loved, and he said, let's get that guy. So I was lucky enough to get it. It's really not a reason, but I got it anyway. And I worked with Perry Lister, a choreographer he liked. In fact, I think that was who he was dating. But she helped forge together a concept for the writer I was working with, and it became what it became. Even all these years later, when I was working with Guillermo del Toro on his series The Strain, he said, I love the Billy Idol video you did. Laughs. When I met him for the first time, it was in the show's offices, so there were a bunch of people around, and he said, do you have diarrhea? I said, what? He was, like, with all the work we have to do, I would. I said, okay, well, it was nice to meet you, but I don't have that, so. But then he said, I want to talk about your work. And he went over all the music videos I'd done, which I hadn't talked about in 20 years. But he knew everything. I was so happy, I cried. And Billy Idol, he really liked that. The thing I remember is that I'd been up for 4 days, and I wore contact lenses, so when I finally fell asleep at the end of the shoot, I slept for, like, 20 hours, and they were stuck in my eyes. So that's my lasting memory of that video. Having just gotten the one last question warning, I'm going to bypass some kind of wonderful in favor of asking about another classic film you helmed, The Great Outdoors. Well, John Candy and Dan Aykroyd were amazing, but it was a very difficult movie for me, because I never really felt like I was the right guy to do it, because it was so broad. So I was struggling with my own sense of the tone of the movie the whole time, trying to make it fit more. The comedy of it was easy, but the emotional part was more difficult to plumb. It was like looking into the mirror when I was 17. She explained that even for women with naturally large boobs, getting a reduction is so freeing. Jameson also addressed how removing her breast implants affects, or rather, doesn't affect, her in another way, according to Business Wire, saying, a woman's sexuality is not defined by the size of her bust. I absolutely love the way I look and feel now. So there was that, but there was also the challenge of making the movie. There was supposed to be water skiing, but it was snowing, and the weather wouldn't cooperate. I am experiencing pure bliss for the first time in my life.
Heather Morris was always in pawn due to her implants. Fans of Glee will surely remember Heather Morris as Brittany Pierce, a cheerleader, or, rather, a Cheerio, at William McKinley High School. Morris is also someone who formerly worked as a backup dancer for Beyoncé, which proves that she knows how to move her body in intriguing ways. And being able to continue to do so is, in part, why she told a staffer at Fitness in 2011 that she had formerly had breast implants, but had chosen to have them removed. Implants were something I thought I wanted when I was younger, and now I don't, she said. And John, who I loved and adored, had a big beard at the beginning. It was hard being active with them, because my chest was always sore. It hurt a lot, and I didn't like always being in pain, so they had to go. Now that she can exercise without her breast implants causing her pain, she revealed that she was eager to give the Tracy Anderson method, a routine that incorporates aerobics and dance moves, a try. Gweneth Paltrow, who appeared on an episode of Glee in 2010, promised she'd take me, but she's so busy that we've yet to go, Morris admitted. Gweneth has a killer body, so I'm willing to try whatever she does to look like that. Chrissy Teigen's daughter told her to have fun pulling her boobies out. Chrissy Teigen's fans were surely wondering why the model posted a topless photo of herself to Instagram in May 2020, but things became apparent when they read the caption, in which she announced, "I'm getting my boobs out." She continued, "I'll still have boobs, they'll just be pure fat." Which is all a tit is in the first place. A dumb, miraculous bag of fat. Teigen also opened up to Glamour, explaining that she had a breast augmentation when she was around 20, saying, "It was more for a swimsuit thing. I thought, if I'm going to be posing, laid on my back, I want them to be perky. But then you have babies and they fill up with milk and deflate and now I am screwed." To address the issue, she filled them out. However, since you're supposed to replace implants every 10 years, she says that when you have kids you think about the risks of surgery, and I think, this is not the way I want to die, in boob surgery. On June 11, the star used Instagram again to tell her followers that surgery went perfectly. And although she was so sore, she shared a photo of what made it go away for half a minute at least. It was a note from her daughter, Luna, that read, "Have fun pulling your boobies out." A big, huge beard. And the studio said, "Howie, he's gotta share that beard. We can't see his face." I said, "No, no, no. No, that's his character. He wants the beard." They said, "No, we want it off. And you're gonna tell him." So I told him, and he was very upset about it, and not happy. So that was the first thing that didn't go well. And then he was afraid of the bear, and I made him work with the bear, and every time he had to work with the bear he was unhappy. And I loved him. He was the most sweet, generous man in the world. So it was hard for me whenever I had to make him unhappy. So it was a difficult movie for me, and then it didn't open well and didn't look like it was gonna do well. It tested terribly. I remember Tom Pollock, who was the head of Universal, telling me I'd never work again. Nobody would even talk to me. It was all those terrible things you hear about in Hollywood, and they all happened to me on that movie. Laughs. But then after the movie started to do well, everybody started to call me again. And I thought, these people are terrible. But now here we are 30 years later, and families still seem to like the movie. Will Harris at Non-Stop Pop has a long-standing history of doing long-form interviews with random pop culture figures for the AV Club, Vulture, and a variety of other outlets, including Variety. He's currently working on a book with David Zucker, Jim Abrahams, and Jerry Zucker. And don't call him Shirley.